Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurumedeva Sarvakarishu Sarvadam Ganganapate Namaha. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwaraha Guru Deva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Radha Krishnaya Namo Namaha. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Sarva Mangala Mangalde Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanyatrambake Devi Narayani Namostute. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Shri Hanumate Namaha. Om Namah Shivaya. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 7th of July 2025. I want to offer my prostrations to all the great sages who are present on the planet today, yet to come in the future, and who have come in the past. With that prarthana and the prostrations to the Supreme Paramatma, Bhagavan, residing in the heart of every single being. We're continuing by the grace of Shri Krishna Bhagavan and Radhika Ji and all the great sages to examine Prem-Lakshana Bhakti, to examine the extraordinary 10th Bhakti. It is a great blessing for us to contemplate these teachings and then eventually, by the grace of God, grace of Radhaji, to actually reach this stage of inner development of Mahabhav. So, to continue from yesterday, just a couple of quick reminders that Mahabhav is what? It is Bhav that is taken to Mahabhav. Let's be clear about this word, because Radhika Ji is Mahabhav Swarupini. In the Vaishnava theology, in the Vaishnava Sampradaya, this is the summit. She is the summit and personification of this ecstatic potency. That is Mahabhav Swarupini, that embodies and expresses the highest possible intensity of divine love. So what is Mahabhav? And then what is meant by Swarupini? Let's look at those two words today and see where that takes us. First of all, the word bhav means emotion. The word emotion is referring to an experiential dimension in the human condition. It is a matter of anubhav. Please remember that the word is not the actual thing. The word emotion is not the actual emotion. That's just a word that refers to something. The word bhav refers to the experience. So words are all on the surface. The reality is underneath that. So the words are not the actual goal. The goal is to be able to really tap into what is meant by the word, to tap into the reality behind the word. And that is what is eventually going to lead to the realization of Mahabhav. So bhav is where there is the experience of good quality emotion, sattvic bhav. But Mahabhav is beyond the sattvic bhav. It is definitely beyond that. It is beyond that because it is a level of emotion that is the highest ecstasy. Now, ecstasy, again, one has to be careful. This doesn't mean this word, that's not the drug ecstasy. It refers to the possibility, the potentiality of our brain, our spinal cord, our mind, etc., to reach an extraordinary state of realization, to reach an extraordinary state of anubhav. That anubhav is ananda. It is maha ananda. But to reach that is the key. And it is a matter of realizing that our emotions can develop from inside out. They develop further through bhajan, kirtan, naam, jap. So in the Kali Yuga, as it is said, Kalo Kirtanat, that in the Kali Yuga, this is Kali Yuga time, that the name of Paramatma is the only real doorway into mukti, into moksha, into God realization, into being freed from the entanglements of the sansar. So, again, supreme ecstasy is an extraordinary spiritual state in which emotions like joy and longing, union and separation, pleasure and pain fuse paradoxically into a singular transcendent experience, that they fuse together. They seem to be paradoxical emotions, joy and longing. Longing means I want this, I want this, I want something. You want to be with God, and at the same time, joy of meeting God. Union and separation. The union, like when you're meeting, when Bhagwan gives darshan, that is union. Separation is that break from that darshan. So then pleasure and pain, etc. In the material world, these are present, but they are also present in the spiritual ecstasy connected with Bhagwan. So, in Mahabhav, it is an extraordinary spiritual state in which all of these emotions fuse together. They fuse together into a singular transcendental experience. So unlike lesser manifestations of devotion, Mahabhav is an exclusive experiential realm belonging uniquely to Radhaji, marking her as not merely the reservoir, but the very generator of divine ecstatic experience. She is, of course, the reservoir. She has infinite amount of this Mahabhav. But it is an exclusive realm that belongs to her only. And she generates this, because this is also Krishna's potency. She's the very generator of the divine ecstatic experience. So this exclusivity arises because Radhaji's existential contours do more than simply contain or reflect bliss. They actively generate, sustain, and dynamically amplify it. Thus, Radha is not passive but profoundly active, initiating an ever-intensifying relational cycle between herself and Krishna. This dynamic feedback loop, where did that go? Hold on one second here. Just a moment. I lost the track here. Just 1 second. Yes, this dynamic feedback loop between the bliss that is enjoyed, because Radha is the shelter, the ashraya, the shelter or repository of love, and the supreme enjoyer, the Vishaya, meaning Krishna, the object and relisher of love, creates what Sri Rupa Goswami identifies as circulatory rasolasa, I think that's how that's pronounced. Rasolasa, rasolas. Circular, which is ever increasing reciprocal delight. Through this reciprocal, eternal surpassing itself, so through this reciprocal, eternally surpassing itself in higher and higher states of emotional richness. Now, this is all jam-packed to understand this. We have to go very carefully and very slowly to unpack this entire idea, just to even intellectually begin to understand. So first of all, Mahabhav is a highest level of bhavana, where supreme ecstatic emotion exists. So our emotions are always flowing in our usual sense. But as bhakti increases, and since we're talking about Prem-Bhakti, Prem-Lakshana Bhakti, as bhakti increases, we begin to get glimpses of Mahabhav. And in this Mahabhav, automatically there is energy transmutation. Away from Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Matsar, all of the negative things that are damaging us, they vanish completely from the system. We are no longer pulled into the vortex of the sansar. We're no longer pulled by anything outside. There is no longer the tension, worry, fear, klesh, dvesh, all those things no longer exist anymore when we begin to approach Mahabhav. Now again, this is a stage of development. It doesn't happen just like that. It takes time. That's why the 9 forms of devotion are the foundation. They are the sadhana to reach this stage of supreme ecstatic emotion. That is ananda. Now, when this emotion opens, when this mahabhav opens, it is, the word emotion is also not really the right word. It's because it's not adequate to explain this. But anyway, it is divine love. It is a spiritual state where all of the emotions where all the emotions fuse together. They fuse paradoxically into a singular transcendent state, transcendent emotion. Transcendent experience means Mahabhav. Now they fuse together. Let's see if we can try to grasp that a bit. When we are in the state of bhakti towards Paramatma, towards Krishna in this case, there are stages of strong, intense longing for Krishna. Because the bhakta, as the devotion and as glory and mahima and mahatmya and all those things, they increase, our wanting to have that darshan of Sri Krishna, wanting to be in his presence, wanting to get a glimpse of him, that increases intensely. You see, so there are many bhajans. Mirabai ke bhajan hai, Muktanand Swami ke bhajan hai. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful bhajans are there that describe this separation, that they're just one step away from the darshan of Bhagwan. This happens in the Rasa Leela between the gopis and Sri Krishna. Bhagwan Krishna appears and they're in ecstatic joy seeing him. And then he disappears. And they are panging this longing for him constantly. And they start seeing Krishna in all of the different objects of the world, in plants and trees. This is all symptoms of Mahabhav. So when Mahabhav opens up, all of the vasanas are gone. All of the ignorance is gone. It is the Vedanta of Vedanta. It is called Bhakti Vedanta. In the Vaishnava Parampara. Bhakti reaches, in Gujarati we say, Bhakti ni parakashta. Bhakti ni parakashta che. That is Mahabhav, and Sri Radharani, Radhika ji is Mahabhav Swarupini. So by her Krupa Kataksh, by her grace, the Bhakta is granted this Bhav. Because the Bhakta is ready to receive that blessing from her. Some aspect of this bhav is granted. I don't think anybody actually gets that full bhav. We cannot handle that also. Even if we get a drop of that bhav, that is enough for us. So, and in that bhav, again, this is Sachin's commentary, but I'll have to look into it, some more research on this. In this bhav, there is compassion for all beings. There is love for all. There are saintly qualities that naturally come about. There's naturally anubhav of the Atman. The Atman is actually given over to Paramatma. You don't even have to worry about Atma Darshan and all those things that we've talked about so much in the past. It just kind of bypasses everything. It's a bypass. If we can get into Mahabhav or get a glimpse of it by the grace of Shri Radhika ji, you bypass everything. All scriptures, everything is bypassed. You don't need, the Gopikas, in past lives they have done everything, but They didn't read any scriptures or anything. They just recognized Sri Krishna and they just fell in love with him. That's it. It's as simple as that. It's about falling in love. You don't need scriptures to fall in love. I mean, you do in one sense, because if you cannot fall in love with God, then you need scriptures and satsang and so many other things. But when that love is there, then it is not that one is doing bhajan kirtan. One becomes bhajan kirtan. The scriptures are flowing from inside. ऐसी स्थिति है, ये 10th bhakti hai. The Bhagavad Gita flows inside out. The Bhagavatam flows inside out. The extraordinary bhajans and kirtans flow inside out. You don't need to do them anymore. They are just constantly with us. And we are in that swarup. And that's Radhika ji grants the bhakta the Mahabhav. She is the grantor of some aspect of that Mahabhav, because she is the Mool Prakriti, that Mool Haladini Shakti. She is in that bliss state constantly. She is the generator of that. That Haladini Shakti is one of the potencies of Sri Krishna, because Radhika ji is not different from Krishna. So it's amazing what happens here. That the Bhakta is able to connect with Bhagavan with so much love and so much prem that it becomes an unbroken prema. And there are different rasas that come. It doesn't mean one is jumping and dancing all the time. That's not what that means. That prema is such that there is a natural state of sthita pragnata. Steadiness and silence are there. But it's not just a negative silence, like no experience. It is infused with devotion towards Bhagavan. That one revolves in devotion, one form or another. One doesn't ever want to come out of bhakti. That is possible in this body, in this life. We can reach that stage where we do not want to come out of bhakti. In the beginning, it is difficult to get into bhakti. Vachanamrut mein Maharaj bhi kehte, Shriji Maharaj, he says in the beginning stages, it's difficult to stay in the Swarup of Paramatma, stay with that Swarup. Later on, it will be difficult to come out of it. You'll not be able to come out of bhakti. And that's what we want. We want to go into such a stage where we don't want to come out of bhakti, we will not be able to come out of it. We don't ever want to come out of it. Why would anybody want to come out of that? You see, when you are flooded with joy, why would anybody want to come out of joy and back into rag, dvesh, aham, mamatva, kalesh and all? Why would anybody want those things? जब प्रेम अनंत प्रेम मिल जाता है तो फिर वो किसको नहीं चाहिए वो? Who doesn't want that? And the path of Bhagavatam, the path of the Vaishnava path of Bhakti, it is a path of non-return into material confusion. It is a path of opening the dimension. Excuse me, it is a path of opening the dimension towards Akhand Bhakti, Akhand Prem, Akhand Gnan and Vairagya, and all those things are automatically there in this Bhakti. Right, so let's stop here for now. Try to keep the time. I know I've been going over time every day, but I'm trying to maintain certain limit here, because these things are so profound. They are so incredible. We don't want to be overwhelmed, but we also want to get something practical out of this. So what is the practical sadhana for today? That is to contemplate. Just think about. Have a murti of Radhaji and Sri Krishna and try to understand what is Mahabhav. Mahabhav, bhav क्या है? क्या है हमारे जीवन में? महाभाव क्या है? प्रेम क्या है? प्रेम तत्व क्या है? That is everything in life. If we don't have prem, we don't have anything. We cannot have anything. We cannot experience any kind of joy in life unless there is prema. And the supreme prema is towards Sri Krishna, towards Paramatma, towards Bhagavan. That is the supreme prema. And so if we get a glimpse of that, then there is love for all. Advaishta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha. Maitra bhav, karuna bhav towards all. No dvesha towards anybody. that is the power of Prema Bhakti. Wherever such a bhakta looks, he sees the presence of his beloved. It's like this when we are in love, right? When in the material sense. If, let's say, a 25-year-old young man is deeply engrossed in love with his lover, he cannot think of anything else. Doesn't matter where he goes. He does everything. And she does everything for him also, but they cannot wait to meet each other. But they have to go to job, they have to go to other things. So wherever he goes, he sees flowers and he's reminded, oh, these would be nice to give to her. Everything he sees only the one that he loves, because he loves her so much. In everything he sees her. Isn't it? Sometimes it doesn't happen very often, but it can happen in the material world. It's a glimpse only. So when a bhakta reaches prema bhava, reaches Prem-Lakshana, reaches mahabhava, begins to see the presence, feel the presence of Bhagwan in everything, in everyone, in every situation, because the mind is anointed with bhakti. What a beautiful Christian term this is, anointment. It is anointed with divine vision, with coloring of bhakti. So we'll stop here for now and continue on this further. It's so much to say, little bit at a time. We cannot drink the ocean. It's impossible. It is an ocean. It is oceanic. It's beyond our imagination. Itna gahan gyan hai ye. But अनुभव करना इसका, अनुभव में डूबना. It's not about Sachin giving expositions or reading a lot of words. It is about anubhav. It's like if you go to a restaurant menu, let's say you have a book. I'll close with this final analogy. You go to a restaurant and you order your favorite dish. Maybe it is, let's say, gobi Manchurian. Let's say you order gobi Manchurian. So this cook comes out and gives you a 1,000-page book of gobi Manchurian. The whole analysis, how it is made, thousands of ways to prepare. He said, that's fine. I said, I could, but what is the point of this book? I mean, I want the actual dish. I don't want this book only. He says, no, we don't have any we just have books here. You can order and we can see lots of nice pictures of gobi Manchurian and all the dishes and thousands of varieties. But not one piece of gobi is there. Not one piece of any food is there. Is that a restaurant? ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए इसमें. A lot of words, a lot of ideas, a lot of scriptures, a lot of teachings, a lot of gurus. That is like the books. But where is the substance actually? वो substance हमारे में है. वो substance भगवान के स्वरूप में. We are alive and we have Shakti. That is the substance. And that has to open from inside. So we can have the anubhav of Mahabhav. Raseshwari. She is the Radhika ji ka jo anubhav hai. We want that anubhav. We don't want just the cookbooks. We just don't want just pictures and secondary information. We want the actual substance. Even if the chef comes out, knows how to make everything, but brings a 1,000-page book on gobi Manchurian, that will not satisfy anybody's hunger. You see, so the hunger is satisfied by the actual tattva. That actual tattva is the krupa kataksh of Radhika ji. She awakens bhakti inside, और वो एक अनुभव की दुनिया है. अनुभव है बात इसमें. Which is greater? A person who has a 1,000-page book on gobi Manchurian, or somebody who doesn't know anything about that, but is eating the gobi Manchurian, with the bread or whatever, is eating. Which one is greater? Think about that. Anubhav mein doob jana. This is what the gopis taught us. This is what the Goswamis taught us. This is what all the Guru Parampara has taught us. Anubhav mein jana. Don't be stuck with just the secondary information. That will not be enough. With that, we shall continue further with the grace of Paramatma, with the grace of Radhika ji, Bhagwan Sri Krishna Paramatma. Wo hamare जीवन में अनुभव, he gives us, grants us bhakti. By granting us this Mahabhav, granting us the 9 forms and the 10th bhakti. That is the अंतिम लक्ष्य है, जीवन का अंतिम लक्ष्य है. ये जो मिल जाएगा जीवन में, सब कुछ मिल गया है. ये नहीं मिलता जीवन में, we're stuck with pages and pages of information और हाथ में कुछ नहीं आता इसमें से. We don't want that to happen, right? So with that, let's close with this today. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurumedev Sarvakarishu Sarvada. Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundaya Viche. Om Radha Krishnaya Namo Namaha. Om Shri Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki जय. श्री राधा कृष्णाय नमो नमः. ओम ह्रीम स्वाहा. ओम ऐं ह्रीम क्लीं चामुंडाय विचे स्वाहा. सर्वमंगल मांगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थ साधिके शरण्य त्र्यंबके देवी नारायणी नमोस्तुते. या देवी सर्वभूतेषु भक्ति रूपेण संस्थिता. नमस्तस्यै 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 नमो नमः. ओम श्री राधा कृष्णाय नमो नमः. ह्रीम स्वाहा.